Welcome everybody to Humble, the June 6th series. Today we got myself, Zach, and my co-host today is
Gonzo. And we got
Derrick.
Hey, what's going on, Derrick? Hey, we got to chop
What's
it up.
up?
We got to chop it up a little bit before going live. We can sit there and talk forever. So. I know. that we need to do a whole nother series of everybody just good remembering something.
Sharing stories.
Yeah.
With I don't know. We might not want to share that with the public.
Yeah, we could limit some of this stuff.
That'll get the most reviews. Get the most reviews.
Right on. All right. Well, today we're doing a June 6th series. You already know what June 6th is, and people who've been following us for some time now. You already know a little bit about it. So we'll just get into the nitty gritty stuff. So how was when you got to Fort Riley? What were your thoughts about getting ready to deploy when they told you you're on the deployment schedule?
Like, I didn't really think about it that much because when I had got there, I had talked to the dudes that came back, and they were like, "Oh yeah, man, we just got back from the most relaxed deployment. Like, nothing happened." I heard about like all the wild stories that they did, like just being stupid, but like nothing happened on their previous deployment. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's gonna be another like chill deployment. I didn't really look into anything, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, kind of looked at it as like a vacation from Kansas.
Right. So you're like, all right, well, we're gonna go see what Iraq is about, right? So you didn't.
Yeah.
So you didn't take it. No, it was nothing to you. It was just like, whatever.
Yeah, like I don't know like what kind of mindset I was in, but like I wasn't scared. I was just like, all right, signed up for it. It's another thing we got to do. Let's go.
Right.
See, I could get with those because I felt the same way.
Like, I didn't have no kids. I didn't even have a girlfriend at the time. So I'm just like, whatever. I'm gonna go hang out with my boys for 12 months.
Right. That's how a lot of people seen it.
Yeah.
So once you got there, did it like sink in at any point? Like, oh shit, I'm in Iraq.
Like, not really, because so for me, most of the time that everything happened, I was either away from base or like on R&R for like a month, because it's like 2 weeks out of country, but then it took me like 3 days to get out, and then it took me like a week and a half to get back.
Right.
Because they were like, we're not flying in because you guys are getting hit too much, so you got to wait for a convoy. So I just sat there and just chilled for like a week and a half. So, like, it never really sank in and like until that day.
So June 6th?
I was like, yeah. So I was like, oh shit, this is real.
So you were never on base when we got hit with mortars or anything like that?
No, and like the closest I came was when they had shot at the OP out there above like that old mall or whatever.
Yeah, the mall
because yeah, so I was scheduled to go up there, and they hit it like 30 minutes before my shift started.
With the RPG?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was the elevator shaft.
Yeah, there was some sort of ceremony that day for us. It was somebody was getting awarded something.
Yeah.
And they needed somebody, because I think Peterson was up there. He was the NCOIC.
Yeah, I mean, I was up there with like the fisters that were attached to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I was up there with walk-up.
On the Hawk 2 side?
Yeah, so I was up there with like walk-up and stuff like that, and like that was just my gig for forever. And I was just like, all right, cool. I got 3 packs of cigarettes and about 20 rippets. I'm good.
I paid all of $7 for all of that.
Yeah. It's like $1 a pack, and then the cooks hooked me up.
Right. That was a sweet gig, dude.
Yeah.
Once we stopped patrolling, that's where I was at. I was up there.
Yeah, they were like, "Hey, look, you're gonna go sit on the raid camera for like an hour, and then we swap out like every hour." Like, all right, cool. Just sit there and just watch everything.
Right. That was it was cool. I remember doing that shit a lot. It was fun. We had a lot of good times up there. I would always relieve Pitnick, or he would relieve me for some reason.
There was like the rats up there though. Did you ever actually see the rats?
Yeah, dude. It was like Master
They were
Shredder.
like a cat.
Right.
Yeah. Like they were eating good from all the leftovers we threw down that
We would
shaft.
see him. We would see him where we stage the vehicles when we go out on convoys.
Oh yeah, no, like when I was like climbing up the ladder, like I saw one like right below me. I'm like, nope, that thing will eat me.
So were you on the night shift or something? Because we got hit a lot.
I think I was on like the morning shift. So it was like 6:30 because so June 6th, I was supposed to go to at 6:30. I was supposed to go up to be up there.
Hey, you were going up there with me.
Yeah, so I was supposed to go up there that day.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, typical me fashion. I was like, all right, I got 30 minutes to be over there. I'm gonna sleep for another 15 minutes.
Yeah, that day, Centron had off, so I think that's why they might have put you on there. Cause
No, that was just my regular schedule.
yeah, I don't remember, bro.
Yeah.
Were you on the Hawk 2 side?
I don't remember. I just remember like we'd go walk out and then have to like pull the stuff up.
Yeah, that's the chow. That was the zip line up for the chow.
Yeah, I was there with like walk up that fucking giant motherfucker that was
He was over on the sniper side, on the Hawk 2 side, with De La Rosa.
Yeah, that's where I was at.
So you stayed at the Hawk 2 side? Because I remember Smitty. Yeah. I remember Smith was part of my crew too. Oh no, Smith was. I relieved Smith. Smith would go up there before me.
With Pitnick? I used to go up with Pitnick. I know that. I don't remember.
I was up there with De La Rosa and.
I went up there with Elliott.
Yeah, I didn't have Elliott. I had he was an E5 and then
Brown?
He became an E6 and went to Italy. He was one of the fisters.
Navoa. Sorry, Navoa.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, so I was up there with all them.
I'm trying to remember who was on my crew, dude, because I was on the morning crew. It was me, Citron.
Wasn't Sergeant Brown up there too?
Sergeant Brown, what? Yeah, but he was that dude. June 6th, he was up on the OP. He was.
I remember that.
I went up there to relieve him.
I would swap out with them.
He was. Yeah, me too. Yeah, dude, I can't believe I don't remember you were on my shift with me, dude.
Yeah, because Smith was up there with us too. I remember him being like, "Yo, can you take a picture for this girl back home?"
Oh, dude,
like,
yeah. See, you guys were on the other side. They would always keep me with the NCO on the 50 cal. As soon as we come in and get off to the right,
yeah, they would like bounce me between both sides, but they're like, "You gotta stay low when you go across."
Hey,
what was the other side called?
It was Hog 2
and Colt Base.
And Colt Base.
Colt Base, yeah.
Colt Base was the main one that had the 50 cal, the 240 Bravo, the two 240s, and the 50.
It was across the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, and they would get sniped at as they fucking would go to the shack.
I remember I had like this Droid X2 that I had no reception on it because I didn't pay for like an international plan or anything, and then so I got this like picture, and it's like all super detailed of the back of the 240, and then all of this is just all faded out, and so you can't tell what anything is, and then so they were like, "Oh yeah, you can keep that, you can post it because nobody can tell where you're at." I was like, all right, sweet, thanks. That was a good photo.
Damn.
But yeah, that was good times up there.
Dude, I used to cook ramen. On the little thing up there. It was a what was it? A generator we had up there, some shit.
I used to just take mad chow, food. I used to go early in the morning with Centron and just get a box and just be like, we need 12 plates. It's only 6 of us up there.
Yeah. Oh, that was good times.
Man, I ate good in Iraq, man.
Dude, they had me on the like
Dude.
between being a driver for some stuff and then being like they put me on radio watch for a little bit, and then I would like smoke hookah with the local nationals while I'm on radio watch, and then up on the Colt base Hog 2. Like that was all I did, and every time like something would happen down on the base, then I was always up there.
Damn.
And then
Crazy.
if something happened up there, I was down on the base. So I didn't get a combat action badge until June 6th.
Damn.
And you used to roast me about it all the time.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
What? Not me.
Yeah, you ain't shit until you get a combat action badge. Come on, little young buck.
Man, I don't remember a lot of shit, fool. I really don't. Man, I got a bad TBI, dude. I got a real bad TBI. And
mine was pretty bad, but I still remember some of it.
No, not, like just in general, fool, because I had got messed up even my first deployment before that deployment. And then, so I came. I came over there. That's why you would roast me. Yeah. Well, shit, nobody in the unit had a combat action badge. The NCOs looked at me and they're like, come here, let me look at that.
Yeah.
They hated on me, dude, when I came. And they're like
oh,
you Fort Hood guys think you're so cool. I was like, dude, we was in Mosul when we was there. It was literally the last stand of the insurgency, so we got the end of the war. You know what I mean? And then pretty much it chilled out everywhere, and then all of a sudden ISIS came around, and boom, you know what I mean? There we go. We're started all over again.
Yup. That shit was wild. But yeah, no, it was...
All right, so we got your gist of it. So you were on the tower. So for the people at home who don't know what's going on, when we got to Iraq, it was pretty much we were shutting down is what we were doing. So our base was literally used to be like one of the biggest bases in Baghdad, and then it got broken down smaller and smaller. We gave more of the base to the Iraqis, and then we had a very small perimeter, and then we were going to close it down and then drive out from Iraq into Kuwait. That was the plan. But stuff happens, and you know the mission changes according to what we got going on.
I remember, like, I've talked to people since then, and they're like, "Oh, you were at Loyalty?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh man, I wish I'd gone there. Like, they had a pool and they had all this." I'm like, "There was a pool?"
That's when it was FOB Loyalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "No, we had like the helicopter pad, and that's where it cut off." And they're like, "Oh yeah, that sucks." So we're literally on like either a quarter of a third of what it used to be.
Right.
Like before we started like passing stuff over.
Right. When we got there, it was already a lot of that was already passed over. The unit before us already had pretty much did that transition. We just had that little bit.
The third ID guys.
Yeah.
You know, their lieutenant colonel. Man, I almost got like Article 15 because of this dude. So it's like 2:00 in the morning. I'm walking to like the gym or something like that, and I pass him, and it's dark. There was no lights, and then all I see is just this little black spot right here. So I'm like, all right, cool, specialist. There's about 1,000 specialists on this, and there's like 2 lieutenant colonels. So I'm just walking. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And then he's like, "Oh, you're not gonna salute me?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir." And I was like, "Wait, you want me to salute you?"
In a combat?
Like, yeah, he wanted me to salute him. And I'm like, I mean, if you really want to, yes. Like, okay, cool. I'm like, I'm sorry, I thought you were a specialist. Like, it's dark and I can't see, and all I saw was black right here.
That's the last thing you want to tell him. I thought you were a specialist.
You said that too?
I just thought it was a really old specialist.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, like I got called into our first sergeant, the one what's his name?
Olnick?
Before he Olnick was like, "You were so stupid." I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Hey, he was cool as fuck, man. I wish he would have stayed with us.
He was cool. He was too cool. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right. He took care of us though. I think that combination was just great, dude. We had Captain Morgan and First Sergeant Olnick. We
Yeah.
they took care of us, dude.
Dude,
We got all the
Dude,
cool missions. Alpha got all the shit end of the stick. Like
that's a fact.
Who was the what was the first sergeant? He's like, we got dry sweep to my left, dry sweep to my right.
First on port. Yeah.
Yeah.
He hated us cab guys, dude. He was a hater.
Dude, he loved me.
I loved First on Parks.
Yeah, he didn't like me.
Or I thought he was a great. I thought he was a great leader.
You know who hated me was Deathridge.
I feel like
Why?
Deathridge hit
He didn't hate me. He fucking loved me, bro. And that shit just like,
bro.
I don't know.
He hated me so much because like I would come in with like my Oakleys on with like the American flag on them that wasn't subdued. But then I'm like, do you see like the 3 privates that are underneath me that are completely squared away and have everything that they need? And so he wouldn't like write me up, but he would just be like, dude, why can't you ever be like, I'd be missing the U.S. Army. And I'm like, listen, man, look, they're all squared away. I can get yelled at and I'm fine. Like, I don't care if you yell at me. But like, they're a little softer. So I'm going to give them all my stuff. And then Douglas was my roommate. So I had, after that, until my room was gone, like, I had everything.
Yo, you was good with the supply guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I had like 18 pairs
That's
of
another
Oakley
dude, man. That's another dude. Douglas. Dougie Fresh.
Dougie. Yeah.
Who was your roommate in Iraq? Dougie?
Douglas, yeah.
Damn, see, that's another dude we needed. Was he there for June 6th?
Yeah, he was in the gym doing remedial PT.
Yeah, he was so fit, dude. But he could not pass a PT test to save his life.
He just couldn't. He couldn't run for shit.
And he had them long ass legs, bruh.
That was like me. I ain't gonna lie. I passed every aspect of the PT test, but the run. I hate the run.
I used to put cigarettes in my pocket and a lighter, and then smoke on the PT test, and run like a 14:30.
No, that's crazy. that's me out of basic training.
Nah, that was fucking Van Gordon. Van Gordon
with his Pall Malls.
Dude, I forgot about him too.
Yo.
Yeah, he used to smoke his Pall Malls and run like a 12-minute 2-mile.
Dude, June 6th, I remember
he was
that fool
46 years old.
walking around on everything with no shoes on, fool. I know the bottom of his feet were burnt and bloody from just walking on shit.
Yo. Yeah. Fucking June 6th.
Man.
So let's get into some of the details of what you remember about June 6th.
Or leading up to June 6th. Like, do you remember what you were doing beforehand?
I mean, I was just like doing the motions, just like because I took R&R in like February, so like right after we got there.
Damn, sucker.
Yeah. So
I waited. I was smart.
Yeah, I got like midway through deployment.
I did it like right as soon as we got there. So like I was just kind of going through the motions, like wake up in the morning, go up there, come back down, go to bed, fucking kick all 13 people out of my room that were playing Madden or fucking 2K with Dougie.
Yeah. Dougie.
Let me go get the fuck out. I'm going to bed. But yeah, no, I was just like going through the motions, and then I remember time.
Do you remember who lived next door to you in the Chews?
Yeah, Cook was right next door to me. So Cook's Chew was right next door to mine. But so I remember, like, I was friends with the mechanics. So, like, my 2 main memories are when not Sergeant Bell, when he went out and he got hit with that shape charge
with that
to
EFP?
the engine of his truck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That wasn't his truck. So I had babied that truck. I had the air conditioning was working. I had brand new seats in it. And like the engine was running phenomenally because I was sitting there working side by side with the mechanics. So they're like, yeah, cool. So his truck dies like 50 yards out the gate. They come back. Sergeant Haynes is like, you can take our truck. I'm like, no, they can't take my truck. Like, that's my baby. And then he goes out, and it's like, boom. Like, they got, 100 yards out the gate or something like that. And then they got hit. And then, so I remember, I was like, yo, is everybody okay? And they're like, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, good. Those motherfuckers killed my truck. I was so mad. But then, like, besides that, it was like, I remember, like, just going the rounds and then trying to hide on my birthday. And
why were we trying to hide on your birthday?
Because of you guys.
Oh.
Yeah, you know why.
I wasn't trying to get taped up to a litter and put outside first on Deathridge's door.
That's funny.
But I'm pretty sure you guys got me. I don't remember, though.
Oh, we get everybody. We got you. I know we got you. We didn't let nobody slide. Not even Jositis. You don't remember how we got that fool? We breached the window. We breached the window.
That's a fact. That's funny.
I'm pretty sure I helped someone in through the window.
Yeah, I was part of that breach. She lifting motherfuckers up. Everybody went in, dude.
And then you just hear like everything slamming, and then somebody opens the door, and we all bum rush it.
Yep, he was not getting out of that, bro. Oh man, those were good times.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and then like, so like June 6th, I remember waking up. It's like I heard one boom. I'm like, oh, God damn it, not again. And I was like, yo, I don't even want to get up. Like, but before that, like, I remember, so Dougie had, like, gone to remedial and, like, woke me up. And then so I go back to sleep. And then I hear a boom.
And so that means, to interrupt you, but that means Dougie was with me in that formation.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like,
big bodies.
That's a fact.
Him being a little bitch is actually what saved my life, though. So he was scared of camel spiders, like deathly scared. So his bed was up on tough boxes because he didn't want to be close to the ground. And then so like my roof collapses, and like it's on his bed, but then it's probably like a half inch away from my legs. So if he hadn't had his bed like an extra 18 inches off the ground, it would have just like crushed my legs. And then I would have been in the same position that Cook was in.
Right.
So him being scared is what saved my life. And then I remember being like, oh, help me, help me. I was like, my room is on fire. No one's coming to help me. And so like I scooted out. And then like I remember walking through where there used to be a barrier at. And then
that was right behind Centron's room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I remember walking through that, and then I walked to like the one of the bunkers, and there was like some Terps in there, and they were like, "Yo, like, are you okay?" Like, boom, boom, and then I like I'm in PT shorts, so I like pull them out. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Make sure the boys were there first.
Like, yeah. And so like I see my like socks all pink and stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool, like I'm still conscious. And then like I had a head wound, and I'm like, somehow like get him to the Greek. I just watched that, and I was like, oh, a little blood makes a big pool. And then like somehow like that went to my brain, and I was like, oh no, I'm fine. And then like I remember like they helped me over to the aid station, and then I think Allums is the one that wrapped me up, because like somebody came in, I don't remember who, but they like wrapped my leg up, and then they were like, hey, go sit on those tough boxes over there. Like, all right, cool. I'm like totally out of it, just sitting there.
Sergeant Wright was up there. Sergeant Thomas.
Yeah.
The medics.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just like watching people like come in and come out, and like I remember seeing like them bring Centron in, and then he was just like eyes open but just like staring. Mm-hmm. And then Deathridge comes up to me. He's like, Derrick, are you good? I'm like, yeah, does this mean I don't have to go to work today? He's like, yeah, I think you're going to be fine. I was like, okay, cool. And I'm just like sitting there, just like totally out of it. Just like in shock, just like chilling. And then like next thing I remember is like getting carried to the helo. And I think Blackburn was on my helicopter too. But like I'm on a litter.
Yeah, I remember Blackburn getting over to the. I remember seeing Blackburn over that area.
Yeah, and but
Who's carrying you?
I think you were carrying me, and then like you were on my left side, and then Castro was on my right side, and then I don't know who was at my feet. But then I remember looking up at you and being like, "I got a combat action badge and a Purple Heart now, bitch." And then, and
Damn.
then you started laughing, and you're like, "Dude, you were the only one who could make me laugh right now." I'm like, "Okay, see you later." And then they just like throw me on the helicopter. And then yeah, then they sent me to the hospital. I want to say I was in Balad for like a day or two.
I thought they
And
and then they send you guys out to Jordan or something?
no, I was the only one from the unit. I got sent to Qatar.
Oh, guitar. There you go. Did you get your two
Yeah,
beers a
but when
day?
yeah, but I had to give up my pain medication. And luckily I have a high pain tolerance, so I was like, "Yep, here's my perks. You guys can keep them. I don't want to get addicted. I'm going to go drink alcohol."
Let's go.
And but I remember when I was in the hospital in Balad, they gave me a laptop to like use, and so we weren't blacked out. And so I'm like online. I got like mad people's wives hitting me up,
Damn.
like, "Hey, have you seen my husband? Is my husband alive? This, and that." I was like, "Look, I am not going to guarantee anything unless I physically put eyes on them. Like, I'm not gonna say yes, he is okay. No, he's not okay." So at least like I was gonna maybe 4 or 5 people. I was like, "Yep, your husband's perfectly fine. Like he's not injured. He's cool." And then I had like another 10, 15 that I was like, "I have no idea. I didn't see him like at all." And then they took my computer from me.
Damn.
But I was like, at least I could give like 4 or 5 people that peace of mind. Like, "Hey, your husband's okay. Like he's not dead. He's not injured. Like it's just gonna be blacked out for a while. You won't be able to talk to him." And then they sent me to the Air Force Hospital, and that place is nice. Like I would almost
Anything
get blown up again.
associated with the Air Force is nice.
He said,
Always.
"Hey, he said I'll get blown up all over again."
But if I get the same injuries, like send me back. Let's go. 6 weeks there. Like there, so there was this one nurse, and they didn't tell me for like 3 weeks that, like, so they every other day they had to put me under to change out my wound vac because it was like a super extensive one. They wanted to clean the wound to heal from the inside out. So it started like this, and then it went like this, and then like that, and then it kind of healed out until I had like 2 separate ones. And then so they put me under every other day. Well, while I'm coming out of being under, I was like, "So you want to get married?" Just pull my gown to the side.
She seen that
And then,
fucking.
but they
She
didn't
seen
tell
that
me.
fucking baby arm,
No, I'm a grower, not a shower. And so like um so but like mind you, I'm sitting there like drinking with these nurses after hours because they're the only people that I know.
Right.
No one ever said a word. They were like super professional about it until after they stopped putting me under. And then my doctor was like, "Hey, just so you know, you've been doing this for the last 3 weeks every other day." I'm like, "Bro, like you couldn't like tell me so I could try to not do it?"
He's like, "No, we enjoyed it. Every minute of
Yeah,
it."
they thought it was hilarious, and I'm just like, "Bro." And then
So did you marry any
like
of them?
no, no, I don't even know their names anymore. But there was like this captain.
Story of your
It was like
life, huh?
yeah. So there was this captain, the black lady. She was probably like 6'3", 6'4", like 200 and something pounds of just muscle. And but she was like the sweetest lady. She's like, "My little buttercup, here, you don't even have to walk anywhere. Your legs hurt. Let me go get you some food." And like she bring me back food and everything. And then they asked me, they're like, "Hey, do you want to go home or do you want to go back to Iraq? Because like your injuries are good enough that you could go home if you wanted to, or like you can go back to Iraq and just heal up over there." I was like, "You know what? Like, is anybody else going back?" And they're like, "No. Everyone is too injured. No one else is going back." I was like, "Well, morale. I want to show them that not everyone died. So yeah, I'll go back. And then so I came back, and then Deathridge. I still have a wound vac, so like I have like a bag of my blood being like sucked out, right? And so Deathridge is like, "Hey, here's all brand new stuff. Throw it on. You're going on a mission tomorrow." I said, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you're going on a mission tomorrow." I said, "Okay." He's like, "Just sit in the back of the truck and don't do anything." I said, "All right, sweet." So he sends me on a mission. I come back. He's like, "Look, like I didn't have respect for you, but after you decided to come back, now I have respect for you. Plus, now I get to tell all the other first sergeants that, hey, look, my guy came back and he went out on missions." I was like, "So you sent me out on a mission to make yourself look better?"
The stupidest bragging points.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's what he was about, bro. That's what he was about, man. I don't. I just always try to be a good soldier, dude, and I always wanted to fucking be the best, dude. And he just happened to be my platoon sergeant at the time, and then so he made me under him, so I just continued to do the thing that I did, you know? I didn't want to get kicked out. I always fucking tried to do the right thing, you know what I mean?
And I had him and I had Bomba as my platoon sergeants for a while.
Bomba was a good dude. He was legit.
And then guess what happened?
I remember Smoke Bomber, sorry, not to interrupt, but I remember Smoke Bomber used to go to the ammo truck and pull 2 rounds on his shoulders and bring him to the gun.
He was stacked for a little guy.
Yeah.
And guess he hated me too because of the same thing. Like, hey, I'm not squared away, but all my other guys are squared away under me. And then so guess who volunteered for combatives against me?
Bomba.
Both of them.
Oh, of course.
Both of them. They're like, "Yo, my turn first." Like, great. They're like, literally, like, as we're going up, they'd be like, "I've been waiting for this day." Like, okay, let's go. Like, I know I'm getting hit. Like, they didn't pull any punches. Like, they were going straight in. I'm like, good thing I got a solid jaw because that one hurt.
See, and you a big dummy. Because when I was in your shoes, man, I already knew. I need to make sure that I always got an extra one of everything, at least 20 of those motherfuckers in my car. Because you got to be squared away, too.
When you popped the trunk on my Audi, it looked like a
shopette?
Yeah. Like, we were sitting out. Who was it?
That was my glove box, fool.
Poteet. He forgot his pants one day, and it was 22 degrees outside.
Oof.
And they said, we're going on a run, but Poteet doesn't have pants. Everybody drop your pants. I said, hold on. I broke formation. I ran to my car. I pulled some pants out. I came in. I was like, boom, there you go. Put them on. Let's go. Yo, Bomba was so mad. He's like, you idiot. I'm like, look, I'm not freezing because Poteet's an idiot.
Yeah.
Poteet was the specific reason why I did not make E5. Because I saw Long have to come in on Sundays with Poteet and have him hand wash his clothes. And I said, I'm not doing that.
I was going to say that. I was just about to say, wasn't Poteet one of the stinky guys?
Yeah. And then so when we were
didn't
in
they
Iraq,
kick him out
the whole time? Yeah, I think they did.
They kicked him out before we left.
Yeah. Do you remember, like, I don't think Zach was there, but you were there when everybody popped up and like 10 or 15 people got kicked out all on the same thing?
Oh, I was there for that. Yeah.
So they did a drug test, and then like the next day they did another drug test. And so like everybody was like, "Oh, we passed," and then it was like, "Boom, now we're kicked out." Yeah, they all got caught. And that was Kitchenoff was my E5, and then I had Sergeant Peters was my E6, and Peters like, dude, Kitchenoff is the best E5 you will ever have. He's the best soldier that I've ever seen in my life. Worst civilian ever.
Hey, you had them field soldiers, dude. Fuck, man. They gave me picnic when I made my when I had my section, when I made 5. I was like, no, please.
Fucking picnic, man.
Dude, I had this motherfucker set up picnic, dude. I was setting him up for success because he was my boy. You know what I mean? And this dude missed movement. He fucking missed movement to go to WLC.
Oh.
He was out drinking, getting fucked up, celebrating. I'm going to WLC tomorrow. I said, nah, bro, what are you doing? He's like, nah, he's just cupcaking. He got a new girlfriend.
That's how I ended up in Airborne or in Kansas. So when I joined, I was supposed to go Airborne and go to North Carolina. And then I just happened to know some girls from high school that were in Georgia. And so I went out drinking with them and their husbands, and then woke up the next day. And I was an E1, and I was the second one back in line, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. I can get my push-ups out of the way, which was my weakest spot. And then I was like, I can get them out of the way. I'm second in line. They're going to take me. Boom, we're good. And then they go, this line, snake into that line. So now I'm the second from the last. And behind me is the lieutenant. And they can only take so many people per cycle. And then so I did like 55 push-ups, but they only counted 40 of them. And they're like, oh, you can go back there and retest. I was like, no, I'm good. And they're like, oh, well, now you're going to Kansas. Like, shit. But yeah, I was supposed to be...
when did you get to Kansas?
Let's see, I joined in February. So maybe like May or June. I think I got there right before you guys.
What year?
Yeah, I was going to say, you got there...
Yeah, I got there like a month or two before you guys because I was like...
2009.
Yeah. Yeah, so I went to GED school through the Army, and I started in February, and I was there for 3 weeks.
Crazy. You went to what was it?
Relax in Jackson.
Relax in Jackson, yeah. Fort Jackson, yeah.
That's where I did. Huh?
I did the prep school too.
Yeah.
The APS? Yeah, I did it too.
Yeah, I did that. So I went February 9th is when I left to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, so however long you were past that.
March 13th, 2009 is when I got there.
Yeah, so I was probably only, because I had airborne school too, but then I had to like redo, like I didn't even start that, but I was still there for like 2 weeks. So I was probably there for like a month, maybe a couple weeks before you guys got there. And then like you and Castro and everybody showed up, causing trouble.
When did you guys get there?
Hoyam.
We got there right before, like 2 months before they got back from their first deployment.
What month did you get there, Gonzo?
So then you had to get there. I got there in, I think, September
of 2009.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was September.
And they came back in 10?
No, they came back in 9.
They came back in 9, the end of the year.
Yeah, so they were in country for like, because we left in 10. So they
came back in November.
I don't know, because we left in, October of 2010?
Yes.
To go?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were on ground for like 12 months. So they were... Yeah, it was literally like
they came
12
back
months.
in October, November, something like that. Because
Yeah.
we weren't on rear detachment very long.
Yeah.
I remember
But they were
coming
like, "Hey, you could
in
drive
January. I came in January right after leave because I got back in December of 2009 with first cab, and then I came back from leave, and then I had already got orders to go to Fort Riley, and they were like, so I was at Fort Riley by February, and then March, because that whole in-processing shit, I was up at the unit by like March or the end of February.
2010.
Yeah.
Of 2000.
Because
Yeah.
I had to sign a dwell time because I was only stateside for 10 months before I redeployed to Iraq again.
Do you guys remember NTC after deployment?
Nah, dude, I don't. Fill me in, dude.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we went to, like, after deployment, we went back out to NTC, and it was like, they were like, oh, you're getting out in 6 months. I was like, so you're not going to go, and you're not on the gun line because if we qualify with you, we have to go back and requal, when you get out in 6 months. So they had somebody else. So they're like, you're driving the ammo truck. Mind you, my ammo truck was only 2-wheel drive because the gearbox didn't always work.
Right.
And then so like we're going through all these hills and stuff, but I got this E5 with me that's like, oh, I gotta have my phone. I have to talk to my wife every day, blah blah blah. And he was just like the biggest baby.
Who was it?
And I think he was from like Alpha or something like that. But I remember like I just see this hill and we got to go down it and up it. And I got the truck plus a trailer on the back. I'm like, we ain't going to make it unless I gun it. Hold on tight. And he's like, holding on to his seatbelt with one hand, the oh shit handle with the other hand. And I just gun it. And we get like most of the way up the hill. And I'm like, oh, we're not going to, like, he's sitting there just bouncing. And I get most of the way back up the hill. I'm just like, boom, hit the gearbox and something lodged right. And so like the 6-wheel drive kicked in and I just like started driving up the hill. And he was like, why didn't you do that before? I was like, because that was way more fun. But man, like his life like flashed before his eyes. And then so they sent me back home early from NTC because I was supposed to be getting out. And then I get like they wave me through everything. And then because they're like, oh, you don't have time to do this. You don't have time to do that. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so I just like sign all these waivers. Like I didn't get like medical checkups and stuff like that. And then next thing I know, I go to like out process. Like I go to turn in all my gear. And they're like, you don't get out for 6 more months. What are you doing? I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. I was like, see, I thought so. But somebody had messed up my paperwork. And they were like, oh, yeah, you get out in January. And then I was like, no, I don't think I get out till like July. And so I waived everything. And they're like, well, you already waived everything. So we're not sending you back through all this stuff.
Love it. I love
yeah.
it.
And then I was just like, all right, cool. But then like right before I had waived everything, I talked to whoever the platoon sergeant at the time was. Some white dude. And I was like, hey, like I'm looking about re-enlistment. Like I got a 131 GT score. I was on a year-long dead man profile. And he was like, bro, he was like, well, do this PT test, come off your profile, do PT test in 2 weeks and we'll talk about it. I said, okay, cool. So I maxed my sit-ups, maxed my push-ups, and then I got like a 1430 on the run, which is like 70%. And he goes, well, you didn't get the battery average of 277, so I'm not going to recommend you for re-enlistment. I was like,
crazy.
Have a nice day. I'm out. Everybody's like, bro, you should have gone to division. Like, you had a clearance. You had, like, a pretty much, like, top percentile in the GT score. Like, you could have had any job you wanted.
That's poor leadership. That's what
and I was just like,
and who was
no,
this?
I'm good. I'm out. I don't remember. Like older white dude. It was after whoever took over after Death Ridge.
I don't even remember who took over after him.
I was long gone already.
Yeah, like, well, no, not first sergeant. Whoever took over Bravo after Death Ridge. Like went up to.
I was there. I was one of the last guys to leave. Because it
Yeah,
was
I don't know, but
it was all the guys that came from Germany. They shut down Germany unit in Germany and brought all them dudes back to Fort Riley. I remember that because we got a bunch. That's where I don't know if you guys know my Capizzi.
Yeah, I know Capizzi out there doing all his redneck stuff, making his duck calls.
So his unit, whatever them guys, Sergeant Paynes.
Yeah.
It was, you know who took over? His name was Sergeant First Class Laredo, the little Mexican fool.
No, it was in between him and someone else. Because it was a white dude. I forget his name.
I don't remember who the first sergeant sergeant was.
No, that was platoon sergeant. But no, and then you guys remember Haynes, Sergeant Haynes?
Yeah, Baby Haynes, or not?
Yeah.
Not Baby Haynes. You talking about Baby Haynes or you talking about Haynes?
Yeah.
E5.
Haynes,
You talking
E5.
about
Well, he
That
made
made
Staff
his
Sergeant
P6.
with the big
Yeah,
head. Yeah.
you want to know who? Like, he used to trash me all the time, and he's like, "Man, why can't you ever be squared away?" Guess who's everything he wore to his fucking promotion board in country? My stuff.
that's
Like,
crazy. He was my
hel-
TC.
helmet, mine. Like, boots, mine.
He used to
Jacket,
fucking.
mine.
He used to slap me, bro. I used to be like, we would come to like a short halt. We would just pull over. Herringbone, herringbone. Everybody pull over, and I would fall asleep, bro. Sitting at the wheel, I would fall asleep, and he would slap the top of my Kevlar.
Yo, and then like he'd be like, "Oh, you need to like come over to my chew. Like, I need to study for this." And I'm like sitting there with flashcards. I'm like, "Why am I doing this? Like, and why do I know more answers than you do?"
Dude,
Like,
I hated the board. Fool. The board, First Sergeant Deathbridge made me go to the board. He's like, nah, fool, you need to make, because I prolonged the board. They wanted me to make E5 even before, as soon as I came back to the unit. When I got to the unit, they seen that I had a cab, and then they seen how I worked, and they're like, all right, let's send this fool. But I never wanted to. I was like, oh, I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out. But I fucking re-enlisted over there, fool, and I did in def. Like, I was pissed off. So, when that fool sent me to the board, he didn't care that I was fucked up and I was hurting fool. I had a permanent profile that I waived before even, going to Iraq. So, you know what I mean? And then I had a fucking, so for the board, he was like, all right, fool, it was stupid because you had to wear your IOTV and your combat kit. So I'm sitting there, fool, just fucking sweating, dude, just in fucking pain, dog. Like, I'm just hurting, fool. And I knew all the fucking questions that they could ask me, but I was so focused on like trying not to fucking cry, dude. Like, I was just hurting, food. Like, oh, I'm just sucking it up, trying to fucking not fucking, like just be like, they could see that I was in pain, fool, because they passed me either way. You know what I mean? Because it's all politics. It's all about who you like. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And they fucking wanted me to make E5. So what did they do? They made sure that I made fucking E5. Like, I went in there, fool, and I couldn't even really answer a lot of the questions because I was fucking hurting. You know what I mean? But
See, and that's part of the reason I got out.
Dude,
was politics.
Definitely, that was one thing that I disliked about the military, because I seen a lot of potential soldiers that were they just didn't know what to do, and they didn't have the right leadership at the time. You know what I mean? I feel like some people just needed a good, strong leader, dude.
The wrong leaders getting promoted. That's why.
Yeah.
You remember Peters?
Staff Sergeant Peters?
Yeah.
He was a great dude.
Bald dude.
Yeah, he got fucked up, and he still ran a 13 2-mile after he got blown up in June 6th.
So if I came in like, if I didn't have a fresh haircut on Monday, it didn't matter if it was out of regulations or not. If I did not have a fresh haircut on Monday, he said, "Here's my clippers. Have a nice day. Come back when you're done." So I wish Gonzo had been there to help me, but I just always came in just
I definitely gave Derrick some Derrick haircuts, bro. I gave a few people Derrick haircuts.
A couple, because I was like, I don't want to be bald again. I look like I have cancer. And then Smith was the same thing. Like, Smith got caught up a couple times, and he's like, "No, I'm not cutting my hair off." He's like, "Yes, you will. Otherwise, you need an Article 15.
I always got a haircut on Sundays. It was part of my shit, dude. Every fucking Sunday, I got a haircut. Got me a fucking Slurpee with my kids.
Who was the barbershop right outside Gate or Junction City side?
Nah, I went to the Target.
You go out, you turn right at the barbershop, and then there's the Pizza Hut or the Domino's right across the street.
I just remember it's like right outside the gate type shit on the Junction City side.
Yeah, so you go out, you take a right, and then there was a barbershop right there. And then there was a house right behind that barbershop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess who lived in that house? And still couldn't get a haircut every Monday.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, how did you live off post?
He was.
I
Didn't
was
you?
just paying rent.
Didn't you?
Oh, shit.
Who was that got a marriage contract?
Can't say that though.
I think Goodman got. I think
No,
Goodman
like
had.
I was dating this chick for a little bit, and then she's like, "Hey, like, we're just gonna get married," and then we broke up like a week after we got married. And I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, we're just gonna stay married so we can live off post." And then first I was living with, just random people all the time, and then I finally got like my own place, and then like Hoyam, like after deployment, Hoyam started staying in one of my spare rooms. And he,
Bro, it's so funny. When I got to the unit, when we on rear detachment, what's his name? First Sergeant Salas, I think was his name. He's like a Mexican
I think
dude.
so.
He was
Yeah.
like, he didn't know what to do with me because he was like, through training, I was going through a divorce. Like, we were already separated through training. So when I first got to the unit, he was like, well, I can't let you live off post if you're separated. He's like, I'm just going to put you in the barracks. So he put me in the barracks, gave me a meal card. So I was getting BAH, but I was living in the barracks. And then after like,
Buying
I think
Honda
it was,
Civic after Honda Civic.
bro, I think right before we deployed, I went down to finance and I was like, I had moved in with Sergeant LaCamera, and I went down to finance, and I was like, I'm not a single soldier. Y'all been taking meal card off my check for like the last year, and they back paid me. I got hit with a check for like 4 bands.
Bro.
Yo, to top it off, I used to get I used to get out of PT for having to clean this barracks room, and I didn't even live in the room. It was just staged.
Yo. I remember having to go to appointments, and like they would close off the hill, but if you had an appointment, you like parked right off the hill, and then
Right.
you would like go get in the car and go, right? And then so I had like a '05 Audi A4, and then I put a 12 in the back. And so then you'd see like units running off the hill to get like longer runs in and not just be running in a circle, but then they'd be split off on the sides. So then you got to go super slow as you're going through. So what do? Because I'm an asshole. I play Eye of the Tiger. As I'm rolling through the middle of these guys, as I'm going to an appointment, I'm like, have fun.
That's
And
funny.
like half the time, like half the dudes would be into it. They're like, hell yeah. And then, but most of the time, they're like, dude, we hate you so much right now.
Yeah, because you're not running right now, dickhead.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I used to love when I remember I got put on a combatives detail, and that shit was like a month long, bro. And I didn't have to show up for PT in the morning. It was awesome. And my days didn't start till like 7:30, so I used to sleep in. I
Bro,
just had to go for formation and then leave.
they had me on gate guard for my last 6 months.
Oh, I
So
remember
like my
they
last,
had a bunch of people go down to gate guard.
yeah, so
I
my
wanted to
last
do
6
that.
months,
They didn't let me do that. They're like, no, go to the gun line, Zach.
me and this other dude, I forget his name. He was one of the like actual MPs. Um, we would switch off on who's doing a British accent and who's doing a country accent as people come through the gates. And then, do you guys remember hearing about Ogden Jen?
Yeah. Is that you
Okay,
guys?
so no, so I'm working the gate one day, right? And there's literally her picture in the gate, and it's like late night, people coming back from the bars, and they're like, "All right, random vehicle inspection, this vehicle," and the next thing you know, you see it slow down, and then they're getting waved out over, and then you see one of the guys like turn like this, and there's like four brand new soldiers in it, like been there for less than a month. Next thing you know, you see the trunk pop, and this girl just take off down the road, and we're like, "What?" Like they're sitting there talking to the MPs. I'm like, "Yo, what? Like what happened?" And they it was Ogden Jen, and because she's banned from post for giving too many STDs to soldiers, and so like
Crazy.
yeah, and she had like 8 kids with like 7 different dudes or something like that. It's like the Zacharias. But But no, but like
Ogden Zach.
these dudes had to have their first sergeant come down and get them because it was either that or else like they go to jail for trying to get someone on post without showing ID. So their first sergeant shows up and they're like, you don't know who that was? And he was like, no, like she just said that we could all have a good time if we got her on post because she needed somewhere to sleep tonight. And
Oh man.
like, you guys are idiots.
We were just gonna pass her around, first sergeant.
You know whose name? You know whose name just rang in my head?
Who?
Lucas.
Oh, fuck! What do we used to call him?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock
Baby.
Lesnar.
Yeah.
Baby Brock.
He wrote it out one time in Iraq.
Oh man, bro! I remember he used to drink chocolate milk mixed with Dr. Pepper and eat like a burger with like 4 patties on it.
Gotta get the calorie in.
That dude was a monster, dude. He looked like Brock Lesnar.
He was a big dude.
He was a miniature Brock Lesnar. He was strong.
Yeah, he looks just like him too.
I would have fucked his ass up though. I still would have.
Walk up.
Walk up. Yeah. I remember Walk Up.
Yeah, that fool got shot up when he went to Afghanistan. He joined Special Forces, and that fool got fucked up.
Yeah.
Hey, what's crazy is that I was watching that shit on Live Leak, and then he was.
Which one?
It was a video that was going around. They were walking in the mountains of Afghanistan, and it was like body cam footage or some shit, and that fool gets shot down. I was like, oh shit! And come to find out, it was Walk Up.
Damn.
Crazy.
I remember like my mom saw the videos on Live Leak of like us getting blown up, and when I was at the hospital. Like my mom was like, yeah, like, I mean, re-enlist. Like, you're fine. You're doing good. You're not dead. If you want to re-enlist. And then Jillian Michaels was doing a USO tour, the trainer from The Biggest Loser. And so, like, the hospital that I was at was just, like, a bunch of dudes that are like, oh, I'm going home. I don't want to have another kid. I'm going to have a vasectomy. Oh, I was at the gym, I got a hernia, or I twisted my knee, or something like that. There was 3 dudes that were there that were infantry that had like stepped on some sort of like metal plate, and they all had knee injuries because it exploded. But like they weren't shrapnel; it was just like knee injuries. Right. So I come in, and I'm like, she's sitting there talking to us. Everybody's just kind of sitting around, and then you see me. I've got like bandages on both of my legs. I got a little bandage on my head and everything. And she's like, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" And she starts crying, and she's like, I bet your mom's so worried about you. She probably wants you to come home. I'm like, my mom told me to re-enlist.
Yeah, that's crazy. When you were just saying it just now, in my mind, I'm like, my mom would have been like, bring your ass home.
My mom was like, no, you're good. You're fine. You can re-enlist. Like, mind you, my mom, I broke my jaw playing baseball one time. Like, I got hit with a line drive, and it broke here, here, and here. And my mom's like, I was like, Mom, like 3 days later, I'm like, Mom, like I need to go to the hospital. Like it hurts. And she's like, you're just being a baby. It's just a bruised muscle, but okay, I'll take you. It's like broken here, here, and here. And she's like, all right, maybe I'm a bad mom.
All right, bro. We're coming up to that mile marker there. We got a couple minutes left. You got anything you wanna say, or last words you want to give out to the people? How are you doing? Mentally, how does that affect you mentally? We never even got about that.
So like mentally, I have my good days and I have my bad days. Like I'll go with my kids to Disney, but if I go to Disney, like I can only stay there for an hour or two, and then like I gotta bounce. Like, cause just the anxiety is just through the roof, and I'm like, all right, cool. But like I went to a lot of therapy, like over the last couple years.
That's good, man.
And therapy helped a lot. Like I think everybody needs a little bit of therapy in their life. And then talking to you ugly guys, that helps a lot too. So I'm like, if I got a bad day, All I gotta do is check and see how many reels Zach sent me.
Yeah. Yeah. So funny. Everybody says that. Zach sends the most memes out.
Between you and my uncle, like, I don't know who sends me more reels. Like, I could literally just sit there. I don't even have to scroll on Instagram. Like, I just sit there and just check both of your messages, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm good for the next 45 minutes, 2 hours.
Right. Nah, I just do that, man, because I had my little dark era, and I just went black, fool. I went a few years with not even leaving my house. So
Yeah.
it was pretty fucked up. And
Yeah, we
Yeah,
remember.
like,
Oh, I remember that.
and
I was drinking a lot.
yeah, me too.
Like, a lot.
A lot, dude.
But then
I had people praying for you, Zach, that didn't even know you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate
Real
that,
shit.
man. Dude. I was in the hospital, in and out of the hospital, dude. A bunch of times that like I got into it with like police officers who, and they would never take me. They're just like, we need to get you help.
Nah, they over here. They don't fuck around over here.
Yeah.
I got into it with some police officers over here, and they wrapped me up.
Yeah.
They took me in. They wasn't
I
trying
don't have the Latin spice, so like I don't get into it with the police officers. They're just like, oh yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, but shit, therapy for sure, dude. For sure.
Yeah, no, like therapy and just like talking to people. Like if I have like real bad days, like I'll call my mom if she actually answers the phone. Like she's helpful. But
That's good.
just, like when I wasn't like reaching out to people, like I was just bottle of Captain a day, just calling it, just watch movies and drink a bottle of Captain.
Dude, I was drinking a bottle of Jack, boy, a gallon.
Yeah. Like I have a picture of me like sitting in a hammock with my MacBook in front of me, and then just a handle of Captain, and then a 2 liter of Coke right beside it. And like that was just like my daily routine.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you ain't doing that no more.
Yeah, man, for real.
Yeah. Now I only drink when like I go out to dinner. That's not Taco Bell.
or when I come down to Florida.
But that's reckless.
Last time I came down, this guy pulled up with 3 bottles. I'm like, who's drinking all this liquor? We had one night with each other, bro.
I was prepared. I had that Douce on board because I was like, I'm not drinking Hennessy. But I was like, I know you. Here's your Douce.
I know you like that cognac.
All right. Well, shit. Well, let's call it right
Listen,
there.
if I'm drinking cognac, it's Louis the 13th.
Yeah. Well, let's call it right there, and then we'll talk after right here. We'll talk about some real gritty shit. You know what I'm saying? But all right, thank you everybody who was came by, and I want to thank Gonzo for co-hosting and Derrick for making an appearance. And
I couldn't avoid you for much longer.
Right.
Yeah, right. Nah, for real though, thank you, man, because I know it's not easy doing, speaking on this, but
yeah, but like I watched all the other ones, and like I could feel myself getting anxiety, but also like hearing everybody else's perspective from stuff like that, like it helped me be like, oh, this is what actually happened.
It helped you kind of get that confidence to say, you know what, I could tell my side of it too, and that's
exactly.
That's really what we hope to like accomplish, and I'm happy that you're in that space where you're able to share with us, because I know that me and Zach, I always say this, like we had a conversation a couple months ago over the phone, and we were just real open with each other about everything that happened, and we had a moment where we like paused and said, yo, I'm glad that we could talk about this, because it's been over 10 years and we never discussed anything on that. So I think a lot of strength comes from the interviews, man. I'm happy that you did it, man.
Yeah, me too. I gotta get one of the cool hats though.
I'm gonna bring you one. We're gonna see you in October.
Yup.
Now let me bring it. You give everybody a hat. Let me give a hat.
All right, thank you all for watching.